You're watching CRE Radio and TV. I'm your host, Howard Klein. Today, we get to interview Bryan Copely, the co-founder and CEO of Citybldr. That's Citybldr. Citybldr is an application that helps you determine the highest and best use for your property. It's an online application that also creates a marketplace to help you find and sell property. We'll be right back.
My name is Bryan Copely. I am the co-founder and CEO at Citybldr. And Citybldr determines the best use of land and then offers to buy or broker underutilized properties.
I'm not sure I understand underutilized property. So why don't we talk a little bit about that so that people understand that? And then let's talk a little bit about how Citybldr helps people solve that problem.
So you may remember playing SimCity if you were playing computer games 10, 15 years ago. I think there's still a lot of people playing different derivations of SimCity, but that was my favorite game as a kid. And you started off with a blank city. There was nothing there, and you could do whatever you wanted to do to put up schools or homes or offices or retail or parks. And what's really interesting is that's really how cities are created. And as cities grow, they have different allowances or permissions called zoning that allow you to build different types of things on different parcels of land. And so what Citybldr does is figures out what can be built on every parcel of land and determines the highest and best use, which in the vernacular of commercial real estate just means the best thing to do with a parcel of land. So that's the first thing we figure out with our technology is what can you do with this land? That's step one. Step two is we take a look at the cash flows that could be created on that land. So we think, okay, well, if I put an office space here, maybe Amazon will want it. Or if I put retail here, maybe Starbucks will want it. Or if I permit this land, or if this land is permitted to be used as housing, there sure are a lot of people looking for housing in Seattle, or probably most places, most urban environments in the United States. Maybe people will want to move into these homes. And so that's the next thing we measure is how much money can be made if we allow someone to use this land for retail use or an office or a house or industrial. It could be zoned industrial. So think, hey, I'm on Amazon Prime and I just bought all my goodies and they should be here in 2 days. Well, those all have to get routed. And cities need to think about logistics. So they zone land for industrial, and now you've got warehouses and you've got logistics space there, and trucks going in and out of that area, and boats dropping off big containers. And so we measure how you could monetize the land according to all the permissions or zoning given in that area. And then the last thing we do is we make a market. So like any marketplace, you've got a buyer and a seller. In this case, the seller is a landowner and the buyer is someone who wants to use the land in a particular way. And we use technology to smartly make connections between the best possible buyers and sellers. So when we find an underutilized piece of property, all that means is that the land is permitted to be used in a way it's not being used today. And so we identify it, we flag it, and we figure out how much more valuable that land is when used in the most highest and best use.
Is this limited to just vacant land?
It's not. It is not limited whatsoever. It is limited to land. We're not looking at the oceans yet or building anything that floats. But if you've got dirt, there is an allowance for that dirt. There's a permission or a zoning for that land. And we look at every parcel of land. We are more focused on the urban environments just because there's a lot of opportunity in cities. Cities are an inventory of the possible, according to one of my favorite writers. I think Devin Zweigel either said that or quoted someone else. But we're looking at urban environments first and the periphery of the urban core secondarily. And then a tertiary consideration for us is kind of the suburbs. And then you move out from that into the rural agrarian areas. And those will be the last areas we look at.
In your analysis of the highest and best use of the property, is zoning the only factor? Is it the initial factor? Is it the primary factor? Or is it one of many other factors?
That's a great question. I would say that zoning is a primary factor. You have to think of this kind of like the field of dreams. It's not necessarily if you build it, they will come. I don't know if you've ever seen some of those massive malls being built in China where there's nobody there and there's people standing there waiting to host all the different customers, but the customers never show up, or the major cities being created out of blank land where no one lives there. It doesn't necessarily make sense to build something just because you can build it. There's got to be demand first.